Okay, welcome to session 7 of Do Something Good. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't quite believe we're on session 7 already today. The time is absolutely flying by. I am so happy to be able to introduce you to a good percentage of the Give WP team. Hello, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
You're very
Definitely.
welcome. Just a quick couple of bits of housekeeping before we get started. If you are joining us on WP&UP.org/live, do feel free to get involved in this conversation. This session is a round table. We've already run one today. This is the second one of the day. If you have any discussion points, questions, anything that you want to get involved with within the conversation, then do drop it into the hallway track in the chat there, in the live chat. If you are wanting to support any of the non-profits that are featured across this event today, then please do hit the orange button underneath. All donations are going to be distributed across all non-profits that are featured within this event. Other than that, I think that's it for the housekeeping bits for now. I would love now to introduce you to Matt, Michelle, and Allie from Give WP, but I'd rather let each of them do their own introduction. They can do a far better job than me. So maybe Matt, do you want to take it away?
Cool, absolutely. Thanks so much for having us on. For those who might not know, Give WP is the flagship product of our company called Impress.org. We started way back in 2014. Give was actually launched in 2015. Me and my partners, Devin and Jason, wanted to solve a problem that we all felt in WordPress, which was, man, when you want to fundraise on WordPress, it's really challenging at that time. And we decided to just tackle that problem. And from that evolved Give WP. And since then, it's been growing really well. Mostly, I'm proud of the way in which it has grown our company to involve people like Michelle and Allie in particular, who are on the call today. I'm one of the partners. I'm head of support and community outreach, which means I do too many things. But technical support and all things that are front-facing, like being on stuff like this, and also our live broadcast that we're doing today on Giving Tuesday as well. So with Taylor Walden, our content writer. So it's a fun, energetic, crazy job. But I'm really excited to work together with Michelle and Allie. Michelle, why don't you tell a little bit about what you do at Give?
Sure. So I'm Michelle Frechette. I am the head of customer success for Give WP and all of our products. And one of the things that I love about what customer success does is we reach out and call all of our new customers, make sure that they understand how to use Give WP on their website so that they can be successful in their fundraising too. And one of my favorite things is being able to do screen shares with our customers so that we can actually walk them through some of the processes to make them as successful as possible. Allie?
Yeah, and I'm Allie Nimmons. I'm the support and community outreach coordinator at Give WP, which basically means that I straddle the fence between our support team and our content team. So half the day I hang out in the queue and I solve problems and help people to use Give WP to the absolute best of their ability and help them figure out how to use it. It's a very robust software, and so there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to understand about it. So that's really fun to come into work every day and basically solve a bunch of puzzles for people. And then the other half of the day, I help Taylor with content. So we write blog posts, we're active on social media, and basically just trying to be the happy, bubbly, informative, educational voices of our brand. So it's really gratifying to be able to work on both sides of the product and help people, nonprofits and otherwise, understand how to use the product to the best of their ability.
Excuse me, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. And it's such a a fantastic product. Obviously, you're enabling non-profits, and I must say at this point that WP&UP uses GiveWP as its donation tool. So to be able to enable non-profits to step out and raise funds to then enable them to do their services, I mean that must be quite a fulfilling aspect of what you do within the role.
Absolutely. I mean, in particular, that we do that across borders. We are based here in the United States mostly, but to know that we have over 70,000 users now that are all over the world is really, really encouraging, and definitely makes us enjoy coming to work every day.
Yeah, 70,000 users. That's incredible. That really is incredible. I've sort of spread out over those 70,000 users. Do you have any kind of tales of kind of interesting users, if you like? I know that you probably have all sorts of things that you're unable to say for confidentiality reasons, but just wondering if you could highlight some really interesting stories of the use of your platform and, smiles that have been raised, good causes that have been funded, and so on.
I'm sure Michelle is really good at this, actually.
One of the things we love to do, because we call all of our new customers and we're looking at how they're implementing Give, is to see the diversity in the different nonprofit organizations and even for-profit organizations that are still raising money to do good around the world. And everything from, there's a group that does slacklining, and I didn't even know what slacklining was, but this slacklining, and they get kids walking across these, from boulder to boulder on these giant slacked, not tight ropes, I guess you would call them, and they're learning how to trust themselves and how to trust partners and do all these wonderful things. And then, you may talk to that person one moment, and then the next 5 minutes you're talking to somebody who's running a museum and they're sharing culture and they're preserving culture for whichever, whether it's regional or whether it's topical. And then the next minute you're talking to a politician who is trying to do good in their organization or in their area and raise money that way. So it's just the diversity in our customers is really interesting, because you never talk to the same person twice or the same idea twice. And so it's just really, really fun to do what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Allie, do you have some good examples?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I use it myself. I launched a fundraiser just a couple of weeks ago after WordCamp US, where I'm raffling off these earrings that I made and donating the money, half of it to WP&UP and the other half to diversity in tech. And I just thought, I had this idea to do this, and just in 30 minutes launched the form on my site and started accepting donations right away. And so it's really gratifying to know that you don't have to be a huge organization with, tons and tons of capital to be able to launch something like this and start taking money. So we see that in spades every day, like Michelle said, of huge organizations and individuals who are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I just want to quickly say that thank you for what you're doing there, Allie, across the raffling of your earrings. We've also got Jill Binder, who's actually coming up next.
Yay! I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I thought it would just be good to talk about the kind of how to fundraise online and the challenges that we can face, and kind of the obstacles that we overcome. What does GiveWP do to help enable us to move forward with that, but also the kind of the person bit around fundraising. Obviously, asking people to part with their hard-earned money can be quite challenging, and there needs to be incentive, and there needs to be reason for an individual to want to do that. So I thought it'd just be good to kind of kick off around that.
Mm-hmm, for sure. I'll start a little bit. One thing that we always try to be really cognizant of as the donation platform is that our job is really to try to get out of the way as much as possible. Meaning there's a lot of work that happens that you do at WP&UP, for example, to get people to your website. And by the time they actually get there and they're ready to donate, we want to make sure that form is just easy and smooth, and they don't even have to think about it. That's what we're providing in terms of a platform, is just intuitive functionality that's going to make it happen without getting it in the way whatsoever. The hard work of fundraising happens everything before that. Trying to get people interested in what you're doing, trying to tell your story all the time, trying to garner interest, and get followers on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, get them into your newsletter, and then when the time comes when you have a campaign around some sort of specific funding need, trying to actually make that case that yes, this is the time and your funds are needed at this point. I do a lot of work locally here with an organization called San Diego Refugee Tutoring. I'm on the board. I help them do their fundraisers. And today is Giving Tuesday, and they're doing a huge Giving Tuesday fundraiser today. And the form was done a long time ago. Like, that's an afterthought at this point. The work was just making the page look gorgeous and actually getting people to know that this is happening and why we need the funds. At the end of the day, it's all about the stories that we tell. Why do these funds why are these funds necessary? Well, it's there because these kids need additional help that the school district doesn't provide in any way. And without that help, they're going to just get left behind. They're going to fall through the cracks. And we have these amazing stories on the website about kids who have just risen up through the tutoring program. Just this year we had, because the program's been going on for 10 years now, we had our first tutor who went to college, which was really, really just like a big heartwarming story, and really awesome to see. So it's things like that help people get their wallets out.
Yeah, I think storytelling is one of the most important things that an organization can do, which is why it's exciting, too, to see what you're doing with WP&UP, because the videos that you're putting together, I love, for example, how you crowdsource some of those videos, too. So it isn't just Dan Maybe with his story and his face all the time, giving any kind of an appeal. It's you saying, hey, there's a huge organization. There's a huge community of people who are dealing with the same issues. And these are the people who want to help. And anybody can submit their video, which motivated me to learn more about it and submit a video. And it's just brilliant, because if you can get people to tell the stories for you, you're even further ahead, because those are the people who are being helped, and those are the people who can really motivate others who are like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting, because we excuse me, we've discussed internally quite a bit around this issue of the kind of the Dan Maybe show, if you like, because it's so easy to fall into that trap when you're trying to create an organization of the individual that kind of was there at the start, and we need to bring that down. It's not about me. It's not about what I do at all. There are far more intelligent people and fantastic people within the team that we let them shine through, and let the team shine through, and let the whole entity shine through as a whole. So that idea of opening up to the community and saying, let bring the community in and let the community tell the stories has been quite intentional. And that whole road of storytelling is something that we certainly at WP&UP want to investigate more. It's not something that we've done we've not done much of it particularly, but it's certainly something that we definitely want to investigate further. So it's interesting to hear you talking about storytelling specifically.
Well, I think the video that you did, though, with the many different people all contributing to it, that was brilliant. The way it was crowdsourced, and the way it does tell a story all by itself. I mean, I do imagine as time goes on that stories will become a big deal for you guys for sure.
Yeah, we've talked about it actually on the website as well, about that kind of trying to tell the story as people hit the website. It's not doing it right now, but it's something that we've definitely talked about and need to figure out how to translate that.
Yeah, it's kind of working out what the narrative is, isn't it? Trying to work out what's the most effective way. What is the story which rises to the top? Is it a story of the work that we do, or is it a story of the people whose lives have been improved? Trying to figure out what has the most impact and would be the most useful.
Well, if you remember the old telethons, that we would watch, like a 24-hour telethon, and Jerry Lewis would get on and talk about things, and they put together a package of things. So they entertained, they told stories, and they had an appeal. And I don't necessarily think entertainment means everything that we think it is, but entertainment is the storytelling. Entertainment is the sharing of information. And we don't have those telethons anymore. And every organization can't put on a telethon that and with cable TV, it wouldn't be successful anymore anyway. So what we're doing now is we have our websites that try to combine all of those different successful elements into satisfying what the public needs to be motivated to give. So you have that element of sharing information. You have the element of the feel-good moments and the sharing what people do. And then you also have the appeal that goes with those, because if we don't have the money to do it, we can't do those first couple of things. So I think we're using all of those things. So I don't think it's any one thing that you have to pin to. I think it's trying to combine all of those things together.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our biggest customers that we love to highlight all the time is called lifewater.org. They're really excellent, and they do such a great job of explaining exactly what they're doing and why it matters. We're highlighting them today on our Give WP-a-thon as well. When you land on their homepage, there's this great vibrant image of a boy getting clean water, and it just says, "Give clean water, give real joy." And just like that tagline by itself really speaks a lot to what the effect is. The effect isn't just like, make people healthy, or things that are like give clean water. It's more than that. There's a lot more to it than just these things. You're actually bringing joy to people who don't have it.
And LifeWater really does a great job with storytelling, because when you look at each one of their individual forms, they have multiple areas where they provide water and provide education about water. And each and every one, they had a journalist who went in, and you can read a story about the people who live in that particular village, and learn their names and see photos of them. And by the time you're done reading that, you're like, okay, where's the form? Like, I love this story. I love these people. I need to give to them. And it's so much more compelling than just being like, people need water, donate. It really, really cements in that human connection, which is so invaluable. And they do a really, really fantastic job of showcasing that.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm taking that into the kind of the social context and continuing that storytelling across social. Have you come across kind of good and bad examples and challenges in relation to doing that at all?
Yes. Another one that we highlight often is called Libra magazine. They actually also are an organization that highlights mental health in particular, and they're a long-time Give user. They do a great job of leveraging social media to advance their cause, and they actually started originally with just writing a Facebook post. It was like, I have been. I always pronounce it incorrectly. I think it's spelled libero. We always say libero. Libero. There we go. Libero. Thank you. It's Italian for freedom. And so the woman who founded it, she said she just wrote a story on Facebook about how she was freed from the things that were negatively impacting her from a mental health perspective, and she just saw so many people respond in with such like embrace to what she was saying, that she picked up this cause, and so her whole organization started with Facebook, essentially with social media, and things like that are definitely ways in which people are making causes known, for sure.
And she's a great example too of not just stories, but solutions as well. Like, she was looking for a solution to a problem. She wanted to find people to connect with, to help her with dealing with what she was going through. And she couldn't find anybody. She was talking about that this morning, that she couldn't find anybody to talk to. And so by her really being brave and sharing the story that she shared online, she found so many other people who were like, I've been looking for this solution as well. I've been looking to connect in the way that you're trying to connect. And she used her story as a way to provide that solution for herself and for other people. So it takes it to a whole nother level when you use the storytelling to actually solve problems. And I think that's where actual real change comes in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have another article on our site of a bad example that actually was essentially that a board member of a large organization used social media to kind of like put people on blast, and it wasn't even necessarily related to her organization necessarily, but in so many ways, when you are the face of an organization, like whatever you say anywhere is up for public debate and judgment. And in this particular case, she definitely lost her job very quickly. And she was a very prominent member of a large organization. So social media, as powerful as it is definitely a double-edged sword. That can be used for great good and also can be used for great harm. I mean, I know lots of people who have turned off their Facebook accounts or their Twitter accounts just so they can stay sane every day. So as much as we enjoy it and benefit from it, I definitely also see the real negative aspects of it as well.
Yeah.
But one of the worst things that an organization can do is just decide that they're going to put a donation form on their website and sit back and wait for people to find it. So if you aren't, I listened to Marika earlier today on the summit and talking about SEO for your nonprofit website. You have to do good SEO. You have to have good blog posts. You have to do the storytelling. And it's not enough just to put it there and hope that people show up. You do have to get the word out. And and social media is a great way to do that if you're leveraging it in the right ways, telling the right stories, not always doing the appeal, but sharing the right information. And then also connecting in the social media way that where your constituents and where people who would be interested in your cause are. So maybe Twitter's not the right place. Maybe it is Facebook or maybe it's Instagram. But you have to figure those things out and then leverage it in the right way to do that storytelling.
Do you sort of recommend then having like specific events, points in time, but just the minutiae of actually deploying the donation button, if you like? You sort of recommend, I guess, putting it in a particular URL and leaving it there in perpetuity, so it's always attached to a particular source. So if you ever put a social post out or a podcast or a video or whatever, it's always the locus of everybody's attention. Ultimately, you're trying to drive them to that one page where the donate button lives. Potentially.
I think that's useful, but I mean, at the same time, the most important thing is that your whole website is intuitive, so that no matter where it's at, it's easy to find. The particular URL, I don't find it matters all that much. You don't want to go changing it all the time either. But as long as it is able to be found easily from anywhere on your website, then I think it's great.
Yeah, I always look at it like your site pages should serve as a roadmap to whatever it is you're trying to get people to do. So if your donate page is really where you want people to go, there needs to be also other entryways down that road that will lead them at the end to where you want to take them. So that doesn't necessarily mean, splashing it up everywhere and having it overtake everything, but allow the rest of the content to lead to that kind of end result.
And another answer to your question too, Nathan, is that you don't have to have just one form.
Right.
So if you have, you have your general fund form and that's where you're putting, and that one stays static. That doesn't mean you can't have different campaigns and different, projects that you're working on, and you can put different forms for those things, which allows you to have different URLs, different landing pages, but also allows you to keep track of how the money's coming in through which areas, so you know what works successfully and what doesn't. So there's a lot that goes on the dashboard as well as on the home, on the front word page of your site.
And going back to storytelling, that allows you to tell a unique story for every one of those campaigns. So if you're trying to merge all of your campaigns into one form because you think it'll be easier to find, that story is going to get muddled and people won't really understand what it is that they're giving to. But having a unique form for every campaign makes it absolutely crystal clear what that's for, what that story is about, and makes it easier for your donors to decide, like, okay, this is the campaign for me,
I know Dan's had quite a lot of fun with our WP&UP form, making the journey inside the form informative as well. So the form itself isn't a simple, I don't know, would you like to donate $50? But he's spent quite a lot of time telling everybody what that $50 might equate to, and putting images in there. And so it's almost like a mini funnel or something. It's been really, really good.
I don't want to give away any secrets, but I did see a little project you're working on. Is that public? Is that in the works still?
Which one was this? Sorry, I've got
the little kind of WAPU bot.
Oh yes, yeah, no, that's in the public. That's absolutely fine to talk about. That's
nice.
Yeah, no, we've done quite a lot of work around kind of various A/B testing, various ways of getting individuals, and yeah, obviously, Matt, you saw the donate bot, the Freshly bot that was intended to take individuals on that journey through, and obviously the rise of chatbots and the advancement around them is really quite incredible. And it was really interesting, actually, the figures around this, because we developed a similar chatbot for our mental health survey that we put out at the beginning of the year, and we had incredible conversion rates from it. I mean, really drastically higher than kind of the average conversion rates. So we chalked that one up as a huge success, and we thought, you know what, if that's working over there, let's see if we can create the same formula for the donation form. Turned out to be completely the wrong way of doing it. We did A/B testing with both the chatbot solution that had such great success with the survey, compared to a much more simplified form solution, and the form solution converted every single time. So it was really quite interesting.
That's fascinating. That's really interesting. I'd love to see the data on that if you ever make that public or anything. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just riffing a little bit, but like, I guess in many ways that's the thing. Like, if you went to, like, I don't know, a convenience store, and they were like, all right, here's your total. Here's give me your name. And you're like, now give me your email address. And like, if you went through it that way, then it's like, takes too much, I'm out. But if it was just like, here's the thing, get it done. Like, it's transactional, you know, I just want that transaction to be done and over with as quickly as possible. I don't need you to handhold me through it so much. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's what people are thinking.
It was interesting because the chatbot had worked really well in order to gain information, because it was a necessity for people to go through these and answer questions, and they realized they were filling out a form, and so it felt like a novel and ingenious way of doing it, and it worked. But then, like you say, I guess you don't want to walk into a shop and have to fill out a form each time you enter the shop to purchase anything, and so time on the site was probably crucial there. 2 minutes to fill out a form as opposed to 8 minutes or whatever it might have been to go through the chatbot. And there was also no sort of notion in the chatbot of where it was headed. You couldn't kind of work out in advance where it was ultimately going to lead you, whereas with the form it was supremely clear. This is the direction of travel, and it's good.
I think that idea of the kind of dynamic forms and the dynamic donation forms as people go through this process, it's about how do we simplify that journey and take away any kind of barrier when it comes to making a donation.
Yeah, I think that's another aspect of good fundraising, honestly, is there does need to be a strong level of trust. And so it could also be a little bit of like, I've never donated through a WAPU bot. Like, this feels weird, and that when it's financial, people want to have something familiar. There's actually lots of studies about PayPal and the way in which PayPal standard in particular kicks you off the website and takes you somewhere. And forever there was all these studies that were saying how, you kick them off your site and then they never come back. You lose that donor, all that kind of thing. That's actually changing because people are comfortable and familiar with PayPal now. They have really strong name recognition. And it's less likely than as it was before that you're going to lose those donors now, because it's comfortable and familiar at this point.
If we look at Stripe, and obviously the change there with the secure authentication, they've gone from the modal that kept you on the browser into a new browser window. So they're on down that
I know it feels when they released that. I thought it was like a little bit of a step backwards. I was like, why would you want to do this old thing? Well, sometimes it's better.
It was interesting as well that Dan was able to put a bit of storytelling into the form. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but it led you down a path, and depending on which buttons you clicked, and I believe it was the first question initially was connected to the amount of money, so it may have said $10, and if you clicked on $10, and all the donation options were arranged next to one another, so $10 was over here, and 20 and 30 and so on, and if you clicked on one, then a little everything beneath it changed, and so you got Dan organized some images that went with it, and then a little explanation of what that $10 specifically could allow us to do. So $10 may allow us to keep the online support forum open for an hour, whereas if you do $50, a different image and a different outcome, and that was really powerful because you could sort of judge, oh great, this is what's happening as a result of this. It was wonderful.
People really like to know where their money is going, right? They really want to have a concrete idea of, I am supporting this and, specifically this. And like we were saying, like trust and social proof as well is incredibly powerful. So one of the things that I love most when I look at people using like a Give WP form is, are they using like a goal counter, or are they using, a donor wall to show that other people are also giving to this form? Because if you don't know that other people are interacting with it, it's sort of like, okay, well, can I trust this thing? Have other people trusted this? And that is incredibly powerful for people moving forward if they're hesitant at all about giving, to show them that, it's okay, you can trust us. Other people have donated. It's going to be fine, sort of a thing. Yeah.
One of the other things, though, is there's an element of spontaneity in how people give. So Facebook has discovered this, right? So like you can sponsor your birthday, and as you're doing a scroll, you see somebody saying, hey, give to this organization. Nobody planned to click that. I'm going to go looking down my news feed to find that information. So when somebody does see your link and click over to it, it's a lot of that is spontaneous giving. And the more difficult you make it to fill out the form, the less likely they are to complete it because of the spontaneity of that. So if you can limit the questions that you're asking, limit the amount of information that you're seeking to get from people in that moment, the more likely they are to click that donate button and actually complete the donation at the bottom. I was working with somebody just this morning, and they had 2 places on the same form where they asked for the address, a home address. And I said, you're going to lose people. You need to just ask once. And that would be sufficient. And so they took out a lot of information that they really didn't need, and they're much more likely for people to actually complete the donation with that.
And of course, once you've actually got that initial donation, you've been able to coax the individual in some way to your site, you've been able to get them to follow through your story, and they've hit the donate button, and that's fantastic and wonderful. It's obviously about the fostering that relationship and maintaining that relationship with them. It's so easy to think it's a kind of one and done, but actually, you know what, there's an opportunity often to work with the individuals that if they've stepped up enough to say, I'm prepared to give this time, then what's to say they're not prepared to give next month or in 6 months' time or in a year's time? So
that's your Casablanca moment, the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
telling that person that you are now part of our story, right? Like you were brought in by the story, and now you're a character in our story, and to express gratitude for what they've given you, and to follow up with emails and providing value in other sorts of ways, and making it about so much more than just giving money. But yeah, bringing that person into your story. We see that all the time, and it really works. It's successful when you're able to follow up and, like you said, nurture that relationship with someone.
Yeah. There's a comment here. Go ahead, Michelle.
So part of that is the way that you show gratitude. So you have the donation receipt. And so somebody gets an email receipt and they have a donation receipt on screen, and that can just look transactional, or it can look like it's gratitude filled. And it can give people ideas of ways they can be involved if you've crafted it properly. And so there's a lot of way that you can immediately have some follow-up right there.
Mm-hmm. There's a comment on the hallway track here from Giles. He says, isn't that why they invented contactless payment, to cut down the pain barrier right down? I think there's two sides to that, honestly. I definitely, like, the easier you could make it for folks to donate quickly it's better, for sure. Nobody wants to spend a lot of time just giving all their information over. So that's helpful. But at the same time, the organization needs to be able to foster a relationship with their donors, typically, because it's pretty much never just a one-time donation. You're really going to want them to be giving more regularly, and if you don't have a way to reach out to them, then that gets really, really hard and challenging. So for those giant organizations like Red Cross or whatnot that are like, hey, this huge problem happened, and we need to get funding out to those folks right away, like doing like text messaging type funding, or being able to do lots of different types of funding that just require a quick payment through your phone or whatnot. Those are effective for just raising a ton of money quickly when you have a gigantic millions of people of audience. But for most standard organizations, you want to try to harness that donor organization relationship, I think. So two sides to it.
Yeah, Dan, I think you've got a good story here, don't you? You're going to say what you do each time you get. Well, what do you do each time you get a donation? Because it speaks.
Yeah, so
it speaks to what we just said.
It does. Yeah, we developed a little solution that enables us just to record a thank you video, and it's a 30-second video that we embed in a custom post type within our site, and we send that with a personalized email to every individual that makes a donation. And it's I tend to go out and I take my little puppy out for a walk every morning. We're out for an hour in the countryside, so the GoPro comes with me, and I record the thank you videos, because you know what, that's it's a nice time for me to be able to think about the way that these individuals have supported WP&UP, and it's a great opportunity for me just to get the camera out and say yes, thank you, because without these individuals doing it, we wouldn't be able to deliver the support that we are. And,
so if everybody clicks the button beneath this video, the big orange button, we could force Dan to walk his dog for 8 hours tomorrow morning. That would be ideal.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I got that video in an email, and I was like, holy moly, they're going to be walking their dog forever if this is a successful campaign. But it did make me feel very special as somebody who's given, because I wasn't just a number. I was somebody who you took the time out to, address me by name in the video. And then unless you just send the same video to everybody named Michelle, I don't know.
He's like, yes, I got 5 donors named Michelle. This is great.
Yeah.
He just edit over the name. He just goes Michelle, and then throw it in with the name.
You need to start carrying a newspaper down and just to identify this is actually when it happened. Yeah. We actually took the idea from an onboarding app, which is called Bonjoro, I believe it's called, and they encourage, so if somebody goes through your SaaS app or what have you and onboards onto your platform, it then alerts you to this and encourages you to make a video. Well, we sort of twisted or altered it to
just built our own solution.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think to date every single email that's gone out to individuals that have received a thank you video, I think I'm right in saying that every single video has had, every single email has had a response. So every single person has responded to us, and that kind of response rate is just incredible. Email from an email perspective, so it's really the impact of that has been really very, very beneficial.
Yeah, building up trust.
Allie, make a note to do a blog post about this.
Yeah, I can see a new feature being added to WP.
I mean, it's human nature, right? To like somebody reaches out to you, you want to reach back, like you want to make that connection. So that, I mean, that's so amazing. But at the same time, it's almost not surprising, right? That if you get a personalized message from someone, you're not going to look at that in your inbox and be like, oh, it's just it's a receipt from when I donated or whatever. It's you. That's really, really special and means something to a lot of people. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I suppose it speaks to what you were saying earlier about building up relationships enormously, and I'm guessing, I have zero data to back this up, but I'm guessing that people who you have a relationship with are more likely to continue that relationship and return to the donate form in the future, so that the ones that you can bring along with you are going to be helpful in the future, and probably a little bit easier than trying to find new people all the time.
Absolutely.
For sure. There's great studies out there about how once they donate once, they're much more likely to donate again. There's also a lot of studies about volunteers. If they are volunteering for your organization, how likely they are to become donors as well. So once you get them in the door, you really do want to kind of encourage that relationship and treat them well with respect and, lots of dog walking.
Yeah, we want Dan to be
your dog finally says.
so
the dog
healthy.
says enough.
Enough with the donations already. We've walked for 9 hours
Your dog's
already.
legs are this size.
She's gonna start unplugging your modem when you're not looking.
You just got to get more dogs. There's going to be more dogs,
Absolutely.
more dog walkers. Like,
fantastic. So,
Absolutely.
kind of in terms of that, kind of going back to kind of more the technical solution around this, and actually implementing. I got a little view of the future of GiveWP at WordCamp US. Certainly looks very exciting. I'm not sure if you can talk too much into that, but I thought just an opportunity just to discuss some of the changes that you're making going forward. Because obviously you've been within this industry for some time. You've obviously had a lot of feedback from nonprofits and charities, and you're iterating in quite a major way, aren't you, in terms of the back end and the management of it all?
Yeah. So, long story short, we're going to be releasing a feature, and we're doing it in a way that's like how Gutenberg was released. It's going to be a feature add-on, essentially for free. We're calling it GiveWP Campaigns. We're trying to basically evolve away from forms and go larger into campaigns. And this is going to be basically the way that you build your campaigns moving forward with Give. The idea is essentially there are some features that we really want to be releasing. Things like form themes is one that we've always called it, is essentially being able to provide skins for your form to make it look very different for different websites, because a lot of users don't have really advanced CSS skills at all, but they do want an easy way to be able to make their form look unique and different, as well as even doing things like tabbed interfaces, kind of like not a chat bot necessarily, but being able to say, well, give me your name and email address, and then click next, and then new fields come into place. That type of stepped format is something a lot of users want to be doing more of. Those types of things, honestly, are a little bit challenging with the way that our forms are built right now. And so we needed to be able to basically redo the way that we do that, so that they're much more modular. They're much more modern in their approach. The developers are really, really proud of the work they're doing already. It's very much more on modern development standards, using Tailwind, using React, things like this that make developers love to come to work every day. But more than that, it's going to enable our users to be able to do new and powerful things. The idea is eventually also that campaigns are going to allow us to be able to do actual peer-to-peer fundraising with GiveWP, and that's kind of like the holy grail for us for a long time, because peer-to-peer campaigns tend to be very, very large campaigns, and a lot of folks think that WordPress itself is for small websites, or Give is really not for large nonprofits. That's not true. We have very large nonprofits that use Give all the time, but doing these more massive types of peer-to-peer campaigns is a bigger challenge. There are people that do it with GiveWP, but they have development teams that are able to add functionality to make it happen. we want to bring that to the masses. We want everybody to be able to do peer-to-peer campaigns. That's the whole purpose of our tagline. The Give WP motto is democratizing generosity. We want to allow everyone to be able to do these types of campaigns. You know, peer-to-peer campaigns are like cancer walks and diabetes walks, marathons, things like that. Forever ago, you would pay fundraisers, you know, 5 figures to create those campaigns for you and to run and manage them. Now, running and managing them, we're not going to be able to do that. But getting them to the website and making that experience easy, we do want to be able to do that. And that used to be, you know, $10, $25, $30, $50,000 projects just to be able to build the infrastructure to handle those things. We want to help make that more of a modern reality for our users. So campaigns is opening up that possibility for us.
It's it's certainly really exciting. The little glimpse that I got at WordCamp US. So very, very excited to see that coming forward. Have you got a potential timeline for that at this stage?
We're aiming for the spring right now, and we're hoping that maybe February, March, we'll have the feature plugin available to start playing with. It's actually, you can, if you follow us at all on GitHub, it's not hard to find. It's right there already. That can be installed and played around with. It's not functional, really. The admin has been more or less done, but not the front end forms yet. So we're hoping to have a functional kind of feature plugin available in probably March-ish next year. So, and hopefully full inclusion into GiveCore, maybe summer.
Okay.
Ish. No promises.
Yes, always the ish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could I ask a sort of a question that I don't even know you'll have an answer to, but I'm intrigued. I mean, the UK, and I'm sure it's the case for North America and other parts of the world as well. Increasingly, I find myself walking out of my house and my wallet has no cash in it at any point, and it never will have. I'm increasingly paying with waving the card. We wave the card at the terminal over here, and also I use my phone as a substitute. And the old ways of raising cash. So, as an example, just this morning I walked out, went to the local supermarket, and there was a chap shaking a little donation pot, and I had nothing to give him, absolutely nothing, because my wallet is bereft of cash. And I was wondering if platforms like yours are moving into that space where instead of shaking a container for some cash, you could shake a container, but also present the website on the phone, and sort of say, okay, yeah, sure, just wave your card over my phone and give WP or whatever it may be. We'll be able to take your donation in that seamless, easy way. Yeah, honestly, there is a technology, and I'm going to fail on the name right now, that's actually widely used in Africa. That's text-based giving, essentially. So it's a bit complicated. There's a couple different organizations that do it. But exactly the way in which funds actually work, it's a lot like credits sometimes, but there's actually real money attached to it. But folks can actually donate to each other through text messaging in their phones. And there are a lot of folks who actually are paying for groceries at the market with that kind of giving, or giving to each other in order they have a quick need, like their car broke down and they need to go help with that. And that's being used actually a lot, primarily in Africa, but not only, but primarily there. And that type of technology, I actually feel like it has potential, but it's all about customer demand. Are folks out here actually demanding that? And honestly, I mean, that's one thing I bemoan a lot, is that I don't want to go on and on, but like our callousness towards humans who are down on their luck is sometimes really hard to overcome. And our desire to lift those people up, I think, is waning, not increasing. And so if the desire isn't there, if the demand isn't there, then the technology is not going to come. So without going on and on about it, that's kind of my 2 cents. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Thank you.
I think there's obviously it's definitely changing times, as we know. Things are continually evolving. We're constantly having to look for new ways to do things. And obviously the technology is one aspect to it, but also the kind of human idea, the way that we think and do things. I want to mention already. I mentioned again, Allie, your earrings, for example, the way that you're raising funds for both WP&UP and Diversity in Tech. I really appreciate the fact that you're thinking differently. You're looking for alternatives. You've looked for an alternative way to do that, and I think we need to continue. We need to look for unique and unusual ways to find ways of raising funds for nonprofits.
I agree with you completely. And I think inspiration for that sort of thing comes from all over the place. So the reason that I raffled off the earrings, I was wearing them at the event, and somebody asked like, oh, I'd pay you to make me one of those. And I was like, the WAPU figure, which is what the earrings are reminiscent of, he's our WordPress community mascot. And I felt it felt weird. It felt gross to take profit off of a community aspect. And so that's really where that came from. Is I was like, okay, well, people want this thing. Maybe I can turn this into a community aspect as well. And so the need definitely came before the desire, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think that Matt is right in some ways, that the feeling of contributing or charitable giving is waning a little bit. But I think if we can kind of find different ways to do that, is how we're going to keep that going, right? Like find that inspiration in other places and help inspire other people to do it, which I think is what we're doing today, right?
Absolutely.
Well,
yes.
I don't know if Allie knows this, but she inspired me. And at our meetup in December, we're doing professional headshots because I'm a photographer. And the only way that anybody is getting a headshot is after they show me their donation to WP&UP. So
that's so
everybody
cool.
who gets headshots that night will be donating to WP&UP as well. So
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're finding different ways to do that.
So Matt, if I fly up to New York, can I write that off as a business expense, or if I go up and get a headshot with Michelle?
Technically, that's possible. Technically. There's also the Matt Report is selling their swag, and there it is. Nice.
Very nice.
Excellent. And they're donating their profits to WP&UP too. I thought that was really smart too.
Yes, yeah, I think so. So obviously we got matching hats here.
So cute.
WP&UP and Matt Report. Store.mattreport.com. Matt is very generously donating 100% of his profits from the sales of his hats or of his products through the rest of 2019. We also had Elegant Marketplace donated 5% of all their profits through their Black Friday and Cyber Monday deal.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So yeah, companies are definitely looking for alternative ways, and as a charity, we're also looking for alternative ways. You can actually. I was a bit sad that I didn't actually have this when I joined you on your WP Coffee Talk podcast, but we now have WP&UP.
Well, you'll have to send me one, and I'll use it on the podcast.
We also have socks. We have all sorts.
So cool.
They're wonderful.
The shop, so shop.wpandup.org. I probably shouldn't have mentioned it because it's not quite fully. Well, it is live. It's out there. People, these have all been purchased from the store. But again, it's another way that we're trying to look for fundraising within WP&UP by actually developing a shop and all sales of products through it. 100% of the profits obviously go into WP&UP.
Excellent.
It's wonderful.
Yes, so that constant. How do we find alternative ways to ensure that we continue as a charity?
Well, let me also just point out that our blog is free, and our blog is just chock full of just fun and wonderful different ideas for fundraising, alternative ways to kind of drive people to your website and do some really fun things as far as trying to engage people in different ways. So if you're looking for more ideas, GiveWP.com's blog is full of some great fun different ways to do fundraising.
The resources that come out from your team have been absolutely fantastic. I really highly recommend if you are out there listening to this, and I'm sure you're listening to this because you're interested in fundraising, then the givewp.com blog is absolutely a place to head to, and also sign up for the newsletter, because it's the Weekend Warriors come out. There's definitely some absolutely fantastic content that comes out there. Very, very helpful and enjoyable to read. So thank you for doing that. And I appreciate we've used up that hour already.
Wow. Whoa.
It was quickly.
Yeah. That's quick.
I just want to say a deep thank you to all of you and to your company, and obviously what you're doing through democratizing generosity, because it really is enabling WP&UP and other many other charities. We said 70,000 users to be able to fund their non-profits, charities, and various for good organizations. So thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
It's been an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Our pleasure. We're so happy to be able to support any way we can.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. We're going to wrap this session up, and we're going to go and join our session 8. So Jill Binder is going to be waiting for us to talk about diversity in tech and various other elements relating to diversity within the WordPress space. So we're really looking forward to this. Thank you all. We shall speak soon, and we'll see you.
Just before we say goodbye, remember, click the orange button, make Dan walk the dog. I think this is the new strapline. Make Dan walk the dog.
Dog needs exercise.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.